to the channel, and today is my spring wrap up. So first I'm going to talk about the 11 books that I read in spring. Now these consisted of around 4,750 pages, which is, I believe, down on the previous couple of quarters. That's mainly due because I've been so busy with work and family life and what have you. And I've had to pare back my TBRs to try and make sure that I actually kind of get to the books I say I'm going to get to. And maybe not be quite as ambitious as I was before. I'm going to go through all of these books in the order in which I enjoy them the most, or, you know, kind of like the quality order, I suppose, almost. So basically my star rating that I gave each of these books. Now, this was a really, really good quarter for quality because none of these books scored less than 3 stars. So I'm going to start with 4 books that scored between 3 and 4 stars. The first of those came from this, the complete Chronicles of Conan by Robert E. Howard, and it was The Tower of the Elephant. This was a great sword and sorcery romp, and yeah, I gave it more than 3 stars, so you should probably check it out. Next up was Sharp's Prey by Bernard Cornwell. This is book 5 in the series, and though it wasn't my favourite, it just began so well. There was so much action. It was very, very engaging from the beginning, so very, very deserving of its score that it got. After that, I would say would be The Drawing of the Three, Stephen King's book 2 in the Dark Tower proper, but this is probably book 5 or 6 for me now in my extended Dark Tower read through. I really, really enjoyed this. Very, very engaging, very intense novel. Not my favourite in the Dark Tower kind of chronology so far, but certainly a very good book. And then what I thought might end up being one of my favourite books in the Witcher series is Time of Contempt, book 2 in Witcher proper, or book 4 when you include these short story collections. But unfortunately, the ending of this just kind of made it drop down the pecking order a little bit. It did end, it was a little bit disjointed in its ending, and it brought it down a few notches. Next, I'd like to talk about 6 books that scored between 4 and 4.5 stars. The first of those is Dead House Gates. This is book 2 in Malazan, Book of the Fallen. It was quite a long book, 900 odd pages. It didn't work for me as well as a couple of the other Malazan books, which you'll see coming quite soon, but it did score over 4 stars, so I did enjoy it quite a bit. Next up in my extended Dark Tower read through, we have The Eyes of the Dragon by Stephen King. This was really, really good. It was kind of like a kind of fairy tale retelling. I do have reviews up for these on the channel if you want to look at them any further, but yeah, I scored that more than 4 stars. I really enjoyed that. Next up is the first book in Malazan, Book of the Fallen. This is the shortest book, I think, in the whole of the Book of the Fallen, at just under 800 pages. And yeah, Gardens of the Moon was very abstract and obscure, but it's so high fantasy. I really, really did enjoy it still. And then the book I enjoyed most of the first 3 books in Malazan, Book of the Fallen was Memories of Ice. Yeah, I just feel like comfortably this is the best in the series so far. I feel like the writing is the most consistent at this point, and also enough of the world has been kind of revealed to the reader that they feel more comfortable with the races and the world and the characters and the magic systems. Memories of Ice, a really, really good book. Very, very long book. It's around 370,000 words. But yeah, certainly worth getting to. I mean, if you've read the first 2 books in Book of the Fallen, then you owe it to yourself to kind of read this one, because I think it is the best of the 3 so far. One book that shouldn't have been a surprise on quite how good it was to me, because I've read a few of these books already, but it is book 4 in Poirot, the Murder of Roger Ackroyd. This was just absolutely distilled down to like almost perfection when it comes to you know, a kind of whodunit novel. Yeah, really, really enjoyed this. Love Poirot, love a bit of Agatha Christie. This was very, very, very good. Next up is a reread. I always count my rereads in these wrap-ups because a lot of these books I haven't read in many, many years, and this one many decades, and that is The Pit and the Pendulum by Edgar Allan Poe. It is just a short story of around 10,000 words. It's not particularly long in book form, but certainly worth a read. The prose in this is exceptional, and just the way it evokes feeling and emotion is quite incredible. Yeah, very, very, very close to being my book of the month for sure. So what could keep a classic like The Pit and the Pendulum away from top spot this spring in 2024? Well, for me, it was Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. This is definitely in somewhere in the top three books I've read in the last 12 months. I'm not exactly sure where it will end up on my books of the year list so far, but certainly for this quarter, this is a 5-star read, 5 full stars. Absolutely loved it. Better than Blade Runner in my opinion, which is my favorite movie of all time. The themes in this are out of control. There are so many themes, and they are so well kind of investigated and so well presented to the reader, with a limited page run. I mean, this is like 220 pages or something, but it does such an exceptional job of delivering those themes and making the reader think, of delivering a world that is so obscure and interesting. You know, the prose is precise, it's sharp, dialogue is sharp. It's just a great book. 5 stars. If you haven't read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, or for that matter, you know, Memories of Ice, Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and A Pit in a Pendulum. Those 4 books are unreserved recommendations from me. All 4 of those, I believe anyone could be able to pick up and enjoy. And yeah, that's my spring. I think it was a pretty strong spring. What kind of 3 or 4 books stood out for you in your spring reading? Put it down in the comments below so I can add them to my TBR.